Welcome into this episode of the Vendetta Sports Media Daily Show. I'm Jerry Walker, and alongside me is Jack Sabin. Jack, before we talk about this recent NBA stuff and some MLB opening day action, how are you doing this morning?
Oh, I'm doing all right. Didn't have to wake up too early. Get to do this before my class. Feel like it's a good way to start the day. Talk about some sports. So yeah, no
Absolutely.
complaints aside from the weather here in Reno.
Oh, is it a little cold and snowy at the moment, or?
It's still snowing, and we're damn near in April, so I don't get it,
Yeah,
but
it's that Tahoe snow coming down. I'm
yeah,
still
it's
trying
not
to.
fun.
I'm a skier, so I'm trying to get up to Mammoth, and hopefully the snow is still going at that point. But even in May, I feel like it always snows up there. So
Yeah, there'll still at least be snow.
yeah, but no. Otherwise, we got some exciting sports stuff to talk about. We'll start with the NBA because there's about 7, 8 games left for everybody, and a lot of exciting races.
Yeah, I mean the entire East right now is just an absolute bloodbath. And I'm personally just really excited to see kind of where everyone ends up, where my Sixers end up. 'Cause, right now between Milwaukee and Philadelphia, there's I think a 4 game
It's
difference.
it's up to 5
Is
now,
it up to
but
5 now?
it
Okay.
is. But I mean, even that is like the Bucks are 2.5 ahead of the Celtics. Sixers are 2.5 behind the Celtics, and then
Yeah,
even you can throw Cleveland in, who's
yeah,
only
and
two
Cleveland's
game.
right there.
Cleveland's on fire, and they're only 2 games back of the Sixers for that 3 spot. So a lot of exciting stuff there.
Yeah, the top 4 seeds are definitely gonna be interesting to see how it plays out with just around 7-ish games left. Definitely could be some flip-flopping in terms of who ends up where.
Absolutely. I'm not sure if they have to play each other very much down the road. I want to say the Celtics and Bucks still have to play one more time, but do not quote me on that one.
Yeah, then down in the West, you could say it's probably even more even. I mean, you have the Nuggets as the 1 seed, and Memphis, 3 games behind them. Don't know if they'll quite be able to catch them, especially because it's the Grizzlies and someone will
Yeah,
end up getting ejected and suspended for
who knows what.
doing some crazy stuff. And then, yeah, I mean, Phoenix, and then the Kings, obviously at the 3 seed,
Then it,
3 games behind them. And then
so
after the Kings, you have the Suns, Clippers, and Warriors, all with 40 wins.
yeah, and I was gonna say from that the Suns are in that 4 seed. From that 4 seed to the Mavs in the 11 seed, there's a
Yeah,
3.5 game difference.
yeah, it
So what is it?
yeah, because
Eight,
Dallas is 37 and 39.
yeah, 8 teams separated by 3.5 places for those regular automatic playoffs and play in, and then as of right now, Dallas is on that outside looking in. Which who would have thought that after they went out and traded for Kyrie Irving? It's kind of wild.
Yeah, I was initially kind of skeptical of that trade just because I was like, Kyrie's obviously a great player. Like, don't get me wrong,
Mm.
he's one of the more talented pure basketball players we've seen. But just when I thought about him and Luka Doncic on the court at the same time, I just wasn't exactly sure how it was going to work because you have 2 guys who were extremely ball dominant
Mm.
and who get, pretty much all their work done by being the primary ball handlers. Luca always usually has the ball in his hand. He's always either, you know, scoring or he's creating, easy opportunities for his guys to score. And Kyrie, just one of the best ISO players we've seen in our time.
Oh
All of his work is going to come, off the dribble, isolated basketball. And at the end of the day, there's only one basketball on the court. I feel like we're kind of seeing that a little bit.
yeah, that was kind of a big question. Was who is going to be able to be more that dominant ball player? And I thought with Jason Kidd as the coach, it would he would have an understanding and be able to like figure out a way for them to share the ball and move around and do make opportunities for themselves off the ball, but hasn't necessarily been the case. And There was some stat I saw, I think earlier this morning, that as of now, all three teams in Texas are out of the playoffs, and that might be the first time in NBA history that that would have happened. That none of either the Houston Rockets, San Antonio Spurs, or Dallas Mavs made the playoffs. At least in definitely for recent history in the last 30 years.
Well, yeah, I was gonna say the Spurs would have probably carried that a lot, and then I mean, yeah, you had the James Harden Rockets
And I
that
mean,
were
even
obviously
the
making the playoffs
previous
all the
before
time.
the Spurs, there was also that Hakeem Olajuwon Rockets and all that team.
Yeah,
So it's crazy to see
I was
that
saying
not
all those
happening.
guys.
And
Yeah,
but I mean, those three teams, especially San Antonio and Houston, absolute dumpster fires at the moment.
yeah, and that was, I mean, that was kind of going into the year. I
Yeah.
don't know how many people had either one of those teams making the playoffs, but
No.
I mean, the Mavericks, they were just what in the conference finals last year. I think I
Yeah.
saw something. I don't know if they'll be the first, but they'll be one of few teams, or maybe it was the first team to make the conference finals and then not even make the playoffs the next season.
And it's crazy because they've expanded the playoffs, as most people will know, to 10 teams with that bottom four teams in each conference
Yeah.
making the play in. So missing out on the playoffs is even more inexcusable when, what, three-quarter or two-thirds of the entire conference makes the playoffs or at least the play in.
Yeah, I mean, even before the play-in existed, it was like in the NBA, it was like making the playoffs usually wasn't like insanely difficult. Like you
Yeah,
could have some seasons where you could have a below 500 record and still make it in as an 8 seed. And now it's just like, yeah, I mean, you give, two extra teams a spot in each conference, and it's like if you're not making the playoffs, then you've pretty much got to be, tearing it down.
absolutely. I mean, it does make it more exciting for the fans with those extra couple games and just that late rush. Because, I mean, looking at Dallas, Lakers, OKC, really right now, those three are all fighting for those last two play in spots. And realistically, any one of them could miss out. I wouldn't be surprised any which way. It would be fun to see the Lakers miss out on the play in, but that might be
Yeah,
more because I'm kind of a concerned as a Nuggets fan that they would be able to beat the Nuggets in the first round. Just
yeah, you just
somehow LeBron and AD would pull some magic out of their ass.
yeah, you just never want to see LeBron in the playoffs, really. Is
Yeah.
kind of my thought process.
Oh,
Anytime you can avoid the best player of our generation, I think it's usually a good idea.
yeah.
You'll just
Something Toronto has learned far too much about in the past.
yeah, I mean Celtics
So yeah,
too.
really everybody in the East, and I mean even half the teams in the West have seen LeBron go off in the playoffs. But it'll be
Yeah, I mean
interesting for sure.
I've loved watching it, especially because I've never really had to worry about it happening to my Sixers. So
Yeah. Yeah, but I mean, I guess some just predictions now. Like, who do you think will start in that East? Where do you think the Sixers for your team will? Where do you think they end? Do you think they hold on to that 3 seed, move up?
um at this point I don't think we'll make up any ground. Trying to look at what the rest of our schedule looks like because
Mm,
post All-Star break, we've had like the toughest schedule in the league. So
jeez.
yeah, we got Dallas today, and then Toronto, Milwaukee, Boston, Miami, Atlanta, Brooklyn. So it's a tough, you know, 3 game stretch in there with Milwaukee, Boston, and Miami. But
Yeah.
that those Milwaukee and Boston games are obviously going to be big ones,
Mm,
especially Boston, if we do want to make up ground. But I feel like at this point, we'll probably stay at the 3 seed. I don't see us, making up that much ground on the Celtics. That
yeah.
they kind of had a little rut that they went on, but they kind of seem to be getting back into the swing of things. I'm a little more worried about getting caught by Cleveland, but if I'm not mistaken, we have the head-to-head matchup on them. So
Yeah, I think that sounds right. I think you do have that tiebreaker over them, which is big if they do. Because I mean, Cleveland's not a bad team, and
oh
Donovan
no,
Mitchell's been going off as of late.
he's on my fantasy team, so
Oh,
I've
that's
been
nice.
reaping the rewards from that.
Absolutely. I mean, that was what that was a trade made this past off season, wasn't it?
Yeah,
And that was
it was one of the off-season
it was
trades.
part of that Utah Jazz absolute just get everybody out and rebuild. But
Yep.
it's gonna be close. Who do you think comes out of the East though in the playoffs? Do you think the Sixers give them some trouble, or do you think it's really because I see it as good as the Sixers can be, there's just a little inconsistency and too much injury troubles at points, which it's the same with every team. It's that big question mark of if someone gets hurt, who's going to step up. Well, Milwaukee to me is just looks so good, and Boston's looking better again. So, any of those three, who do you think gets through?
Yeah, I can definitely agree with that. The Sixers team can be a little inconsistent at times. I mean, especially at the first half of the year was just not a great one. We
Yeah,
had guys getting hurt left and right. Didn't really have consistency on offense. I've really given up on ever picking my Sixers to make serious playoff runs. It's just in my lifetime, the Sixers have just been cursed.
that's fair.
I mean, yeah, Milwaukee just looks so good this season. It would feel crazy not to pick them. But I feel like whenever you start going with the chalk picks, crazy stuff ends up happening. I mean, I think really any of these top four teams, like I'll even include Cleveland in there, has a serious, legitimate chance. But gun to my head, if I had to pick one, I'd probably pick the Bucks because they just look like the best team, arguably in the NBA right now.
Yeah, I would agree with that. They do look the best team, most consistent. And I mean, any team that has you immediately has a bit of an advantage, I
Yeah,
would say. So that's a big plus for them. But I could see, I'm excited if the seedings stay the same way. I'd love that 76ers Boston Celtics second round matchup if that's what would happen, because
oh God.
that would be, oh, I'm sure, but it'd be fun to watch to say the least. And I think the Sixers could easily get by, not easily get by, but I could see the Sixers getting by the Celtics and maybe be even giving the Bucks a run for their money. But it's really any
Yeah.
of those top three, maybe even four with Cleveland.
Yeah, one of my roommates is a diehard Celtics fan, so that would be a very, very interesting series to say
Yeah,
the least.
absolutely.
The Celtics have definitely had our number
Mhm.
in the last few years.
Yeah, I feel like, did you play them in the playoffs last year?
No, we haven't. I think the last time we played them was 2018,
Oh, damn.
2019.
Okay.
Because then, yeah, because since then we've had we lost to the Heat and
Mm,
the Hawks, and then there was that COVID season thrown in there. So yeah, but I think the last time we played them, they like 4-1 us.
damn. But so who knows? But they could be. I think it'll be a fun series nonetheless. Some star players there.
Can definitely agree. And then out of the West,
I don't really
the
know in
West
the
just seems
West
hard to pick, man.
because I mean, as we mentioned earlier, you can never count out a team with LeBron out. So you can't count out the Lakers. You can't count out the Warriors with Steph. Even though they are 9-29 on the road, they're still a good team and have that playoff experience and that will to go and I mean defend their title. No one
Yeah,
really they kind of
I don't
won
even
it.
hate I don't even hate the Clippers either. I mean, you got guys like Kawhi Leonard and Paul George.
Yeah.
I mean, I know what Kawhi Leonard can do in the playoffs.
Yeah.
I think we all know what Kawhi Leonard is capable of doing come playoff time. And Paul George, I think is one of the more underappreciated stars
Mm.
in the league.
Yeah, I feel like he became a meme in that pandemic bubble season a bit, but since then he's still the same Paul George. He's still that extremely dangerous guy that can change a game at any given second on both ends of the court.
Yeah, just a really like I don't want to say he's like a 3 and D guy because he's obviously much more than just a typical 3 and D guy, but he kind of does it all on the court. So
Mm.
the Clippers team, I definitely think can surprise people, especially now that they have West Goat on their team.
Yeah. I like that first round series as of now. Suns versus Clippers in the first round.
Yeah, I mean the Suns just
Injury after injury.
yeah,
And
just what a collapse. Everyone thought they get KD and they were gonna run the West.
how long do you know how long he's out for? Is he I want to say he'll be back for the playoffs, but I'm not 100% sure on that one.
Yeah, I forget.
Um, Oh, he's apparently meant to return
He's listed.
today. I
He's
think he's
listed as
returning today.
questionable.
Yeah,
So it sounds like he'll just sounds like we're just gonna be resting him a little bit and getting
yeah,
him ready for the playoffs.
absolutely. But I mean,
But yeah,
anytime
once you
you
throw
come
KD on that
injured,
team,
gonna be it's gonna be fun.
yeah,
Kawhi and Paul George against KD and Booker, and I think is Ayton hurt at the moment. I want to say he is, but I'm not.
I'm not sure, but I just know the Suns have had guys injured.
Yeah, I do feel like the West this year, though, it's going to be one of those newer teams that one of those top three that could actually maybe finally break through and make their first finals appearance. Because I mean, who wouldn't love to see Sacramento Kings or Memphis Grizzlies or even the Denver Nuggets
Yeah,
make the
I
finals?
would
It's
love to
just
see
some.
the Kings.
Oh yeah, give me the
And then
Kings.
by the way, said Ayton just came back.
Okay,
Yesterday was his first game back.
so yeah, they're getting healthy.
Or
So
2 days ago, excuse
can't
me.
count them out at all. But
Yeah, if they get healthy at the right time, that lineup is deadly.
yeah, I think I said this on the daily show I was on last week. Give me a Kings Grizzlies or Nuggets series against the Sixers because none of those teams make the finals. It would just be
That would be
absolutely
electric.
upsetting and like in terms of who we're used to seeing in the playoffs
Yeah,
or in the
Sixers and
finals.
Kings
So
fans would go crazy.
oh yeah, I mean that's what I love about the Kings right now is not only are they playing fun basketball, but their atmosphere is insane, and it's just so fun to watch them get
Yeah,
hype and rowdy.
I'm happy for Kings fans.
The only one of those top
They deserve
three
it.
that I think will find a way to mess themselves up is the Grizzlies. I'm not just because they always seem to do better without John Morant, and now he's back. They have been on a winning streak, but
It's too much off the court stuff,
yeah,
man.
exactly. And the whole team has too many distractions and too much
They walk
ego
around
almost.
like a saying is like they walk around like their shit don't stink. It's like
Yeah,
they walk around like they're the top
defending
dog in
champs.
the Western Conference, and it's like, what have you done in the last 10 years that
I don't even think they've made a conference finals
yeah.
or
I mean,
anything
they
like
had
that.
those good years with, Zebo and
Oh, the grit and
Marcus
grind
Gasol and Mike
Grizzlies.
Conley.
That was a fun time.
Like that was a solid Grizzlies team, but
Even
I
then.
mean, they're walking around now like we run the West, and it's like, no, you really don't.
Yeah. I mean, the only thing I'm concerned about with them as well, or another thing is like they're amazing at home, 33-5, but on the road they have a losing record. Which at the playoff time, you're going into a hostile environment. Those are the kind of games where you slip up once at home, you might be done for.
Yeah, I feel like that can sometimes be the case with, just younger teams.
Yeah.
You're a younger team, you kind of get that bigger adrenaline boost from being at home, and then on the road, you're kind of not as prepared
Mm-hmm.
to kind of deal with it. And that's the thing with like teams like the Grizzlies and Kings in the playoffs is like they're so young, which can be a bonus because it's like you find with those young teams, just when they're on, and there's really nothing you can do to stop them if they're hot. But then but then it's also like come playoff time, it's like you see when experience matters and when it benefits
Absolutely.
to have those veterans that have been there before. So I think if I had to pick one team out of the West, I think I'd ride with the Suns, honestly.
Yeah.
I think they're getting healthy at the right time. Everyone's kind of starting to get healthy and play together. And
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, I just think that starting lineup is going to be too difficult for teams to deal with.
Yeah, I agree. I think the Suns are at least starting five wise the best in the West. It's just who's going to help off that bench a bit, and
Yeah,
that'll be interesting because I mean you need good bench depth in the playoffs, but
oh,
you also
100%.
need your superstars to step up. And Devin Booker, DeAndre Ayton, KD are all playoff caliber players that can go off and take over any game they are in.
Yeah, I mean, when your superstars just step up and take over, makes it easier for those bench guys.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm curious about with the Nuggets because the Nuggets issue most of the season and even the past seasons has been that bench, and it just hasn't been. It's been decent this year. Bruce Brown's been pretty solid. Christian Braun has been kind of electric as of late, but I'm excited to see Jamal Murray back in the playoffs and see if he's able to get back to how he was in the bubble, because Bubble Murray was great. He was so much fun to watch.
We all know why.
Oh yeah, we do all know why.
How confident are you feeling about your Nuggets, though?
Honestly, I wasn't overly confident coming into the season. I thought we'd be maybe a 3-4 seed and then have next year be the season where we really make a run at it. But the way some of these players are playing, like Aaron Gordon's completely stepped up this year. Michael Porter's looking better than I expected. Jamal's picked
I
up.
love Michael Porter Jr.
He's just
Mr. Never Swing the Rock, Michael Porter Jr. I don't know if you've seen that guy on TikTok,
I have not.
but he like he's like claimed Michael Porter Jr. as his favorite player, and he'll only make a TikTok on him whenever he has a game where he has like 0 assists or like 1 assist.
Oh, okay.
And he'll just hype up Michael Porter Jr. for like never passing the ball and never swinging the rock.
I mean, I'll say he doesn't really need to when you have Jokic and Jamal passing it around. And
that's his role, and he plays it well.
He does indeed, and his 3-point shooting's gotten better. I also love KCP. I was not happy with that trade at first. I was like, fine getting rid of Will Barton, but wanted to keep Monte Morris. Let me go out and get KCP, and he's kind of been a solid 3-and-D guy this season for the Nuggets.
3-and-D guy.
Extra help. But no, realistically, I can see the Nuggets making the West Finals, and that's about it. I think somehow, some way, they're still not necessarily fully ready for a finals run, but if there's any year, I would say it's this year. And give me that series. Give me the 6 series. Give me the Nuggets in the finals.
Jokic, and the MVP debates.
Yeah, because I mean,
Embiid versus Jokic.
Yeah,
whoever wins gets all 3 MVPs.
All 3, I like it. All 3 and finals MVP. You get a 4 MVP swing from one playoff series, which we almost got that this week. We almost got that Jokic versus Embiid matchup, but then I don't know if Embiid, I think it was a thigh injury or something, or thigh soreness.
Thigh injury. I think it's more just
a rest day.
Managing fatigue. I mean, playing in Denver.
I mean,
obviously higher elevation.
Hasn't played in Denver since 2019, so.
Yeah,
that surprises me. That surprised me when I saw that stat.
Embiid's always kind of had a fatigue thing. I mean, he's just such a big guy and plays like he's in such a smaller body.
Absolutely.
I was really hoping for the matchup. I don't know if you saw in the NBA chat, but Garrett was thinking that Joel Embiid was scared to play
Jokic.
I was like,
I'll say last time he played didn't.
Yeah, that's exactly what I said.
47 or something.
47 and 18 last time he played. So I don't think he's really scared, but
I mean, it's just, to me, it's like kind of crazy. You have this guy, one of the best players in the league, and he has to take consistent rest days. I know he's, like you said, he's always injury prone, but I don't love that. That's one of my dislikes of the entire NBA now at the moment.
Yeah, and it's not just
Embiid. It's not just Embiid. It's everybody who's kind of just taking rest days.
Because, I get it sometimes if, you're on the second end of a back-to-back and you're playing in Indiana. And it's like, okay, I get if you're going to sit out, maybe one of those.
You're going to win either way. It doesn't.
Yeah. Or just really, I just think the NBA needs to get rid of the back-to-backs. Personally, just the playing in one night and then playing the very next day in a completely other city. It's just,
I would say with just the one contradiction with that is it's kind of impossible to schedule, I would think, but I don't know. It's kind of fun to see, but it's also like the fatigue. You'd see less players resting and doing that stuff if there weren't those back-to-backs.
Yeah, because I was looking when I was doing my Joel Embiid MVP article, I was looking at the games they played. So I think Jokic is at 67 right now, games played, and then Embiid was at 61, I want to say.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's played 61 games this season.
Okay.
So it's not the biggest discrepancy ever, at least not as big as
as people make it sound. Yeah. But that's probably the closest race we have in terms of the NBA awards is that MVP race. Jokic and Embiid, they've kind of been flipping back and forth as of late in terms of who's the favorite, who's going to finish second. But
I think right now Embiid, at least when I checked yesterday, he was the small favorite.
Yeah,
It
I
wasn't
know.
by a lot.
No, it's very much, I think, a coin toss in terms of what Vegas is thinking. Let's see
Yeah.
here. Who do you think Embiid should get it this year? I mean, he is the leading scorer in the league and has his team in the 3 seed.
Yeah, I think it's his year. I think they got to give it to him. And I even talked about it in the article that I'm going to have up. And it's something that I'm not a fan of. Voter fatigue. I don't really like voter fatigue or the idea of it.
But it's
But
a
I don't
thing.
think that you can just say it doesn't exist. Like I can't. Like it does exist. It's a thing. I don't like that it's a thing, but it really exists in all sports.
Mm,
I mean, there's a reason why only three guys have won 3 straight MVPs, the last of which being Larry Bird.
yeah.
It's just the NBA just I don't know why they don't like doing it. I mean, I guess I could understand if like maybe they think the fans view it as boring or something, but I think that'll definitely play a part in it. I
Mm,
don't think it should, but I
yeah.
definitely think it will.
I feel like just an extent on what I felt kind of with these two going back and forth for a while is that it's kind of that voter fatigue, and maybe it's even Jokic isn't as marketable of a guy as Embiid is in the U.S. At least it doesn't seem. You see Embiid on all the commercials. You don't see much
Yeah,
with Jokic. I want to say Embiid is Instagram and is vocal on social media, or is he? I don't.
he's a big Twitter guy. Some of
Okay.
his tweets and stuff are pretty
Yeah,
funny.
big Twitter guy. Jokic has no social media, so he's hard to market. Also, is just that weird shape, just everyday man. There's nothing unique about him apart from the way he passes and does that. But physically, he just looks like some average guy brought off the streets.
Literally, yeah.
There's
Looks
not
like a
much.
dad that you brought onto your local rec game, which just absolutely cooks you.
Yeah, which I've had that happen to me. That's always
Oh
sad.
yeah,
Going to the rec center and some older guy just shows up looking completely out of shape and just goes off. And,
yeah. I go to the UNR gym and it's the same thing. It's like a 50, 60-year-old guy just comes in and
who's just
humbles you
been
real
hooping
quick.
his whole life. But no, I agree with you. I think if there was any of a year to win it, I think this year would be Embiid's over the last 2 seasons. But
Yeah, I mean the scoring run he's been on
yeah,
has been. I mean, I think I saw something since the merger. Sorry, since the merger, only James Harden and Michael Jordan, I think, have scored. No, Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, and James Harden have scored more points in a season, or have scored more points than Joel Embiid this season.
jeez,
And I mean, right there, those are arguably three of some of the
best players.
best scorers in NBA history.
Yeah.
And
So
Joel Embiid's a big man. And then I think he recently had a stretch. He had like 10 straight games with 30 plus points. It's
jeez,
just
yeah,
sickening.
he's just a monster.
It's
I would love
absolutely
to,
sickening.
I'd love to see Jokic get his third straight, but I do think that Embiid does deserve it to an extent. It's
Yeah,
just gonna
and
be that's what I want. That's why I wanted this last game on Monday so badly, was to see how
yeah,
they did
I think
against
everyone
each
did.
other, at least in Denver. So
And yeah, I've always felt that I haven't been like too biased in terms of
oh
Joel Embiid with the MVP because in the last 2 years, my thought process was always just kind of like, it'd be nice if Embiid would win it, and I think you could make the argument, but I was never like, I always understood why they gave it to Jokic, and I was always like, okay, I could definitely get behind this and see where the thought process was, but
yeah,
I feel like, I mean, you said it before we started. If Embiid goes these 3 seasons without winning an MVP, like
that's
it's gonna be one of the things
scandalous.
people look back on, and it's like he didn't win one MVP
Looking
because
at his stats,
he's
how
usually on
yeah,
a winning team too. The Sixers were always in that top 3 or 4,
mhm,
so it wasn't like he was doing it on empty stats or anything like that.
absolutely. But I mean, that's the closest award race. It's really a toss up. Looking at the odds for one of the betting apps I have, it's Jokic plus 105, Embiid plus 115. So they don't even know. It's a complete coin
Yeah,
toss
because
there.
like I said, I think Embiid was maybe like the
Yeah.
favorite by
It
pretty much the
switches.
same
It
margin.
switches hourly, so it seems.
Oh
But
yeah, and then Embiid didn't play in that game, so Jokic, I'm sure,
yeah,
got the slight advantage for that.
another award that is not really close. Rookie of the Year, Paulo
Yeah, Paolo.
Banchero. If he doesn't win it, someone is paying those
Yeah,
numbers behind
I
the
just think
scenes.
it's so crazy he's been as a overall efficient of a scorer and as good of a scorer,
Yeah.
and he cannot hit a 3 to save his life. Like, I think I saw something like he went on a stretch where he was like 1 for like 20 something on threes
Jesus.
at one point this season. Like, he just cannot hit a 3, but
Yeah, he shoots 29.2% from three this season.
yeah, and it's seemingly not affecting him. He still seems to be able to get to his spots and
Yeah.
get a bucket whenever he needs it.
And I love that. I love when it's players not necessarily, especially in this age of basketball where everyone wants to jack up a three and obviously 3 points more than two. But I love that hard, grinding basketball where you just take those mid rangers. That's why I liked watching Chris Paul when he was on the Hornets, Clippers, and then Carmelo Anthony as well. Because never, and even Kobe, never 3 point shooters. They were always that mid range and kind of
Yeah,
just sauce on you and
you
drop a
love
bucket
DeMar
from wherever.
DeRozan then.
Yeah, DeMar DeRozan. I love DeMar DeRozan and Terrence Ross on the Raptors, but that was more because I loved playing with them on 2K because they were so athletic and could do a little bit of everything.
Oh, those old 2K games.
Oh yeah,
Those were the
2K's plummeted by the sound of it. I haven't bought a Get 2K NBA one since like
Yeah,
2014.
I only got 2K23 when I got my PS5 because a girl that I work with, I guess her boyfriend like worked for 2K, so
Oh
she got
sweet,
me the game for like 75% off. So I
oh,
was like,
easy.
well,
That's like a no brainer.
yeah, I was like, if I get it for that cheap, then I'll get it. But yeah, it's definitely plummeted to say the
Yeah,
least.
but obviously we don't make those games, and I feel like it's just kind of a process over and over of they just repeat and just take it stuff from the year before. But
Yep.
move on to the next award, most improved. The two I have was thinking of Laurie Markkinen and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Shai's been on a tear for OKC this year. He's one of the it feels like he's one of the higher scorers in the league, which I think he is. So
Yeah, I mean, on that team, he's got the ability to pretty much get up as many shots as he wants.
yeah, and where's Laurie Markkinen? He's in Utah. That's right.
Yeah, right now, Laurie Markkinen's the odds-on favorite. I mean, another guy I think we should talk about, Jalen Brunson.
Oh yeah,
I mean, not I know his stats maybe haven't, like taken a big leap, but I think he has significantly showed just how valuable. I mean, he leaves Dallas, and all of a sudden, they may not even make the play-in.
yeah.
And
That's
now the
all.
team's going now the Knicks, right?
Yeah, Jalen Brunson is on the Knicks.
Yeah, and now the Knicks, are as of right now in the playoffs. I'm not sure exactly what seed.
They are the 5 seed at the moment.
Yeah, 5 seed, 43 and 33. So yeah, I think he's definitely inserted his name in the conversation. I do think it's probably Laurie's award, and it's not so much as I don't think Shea doesn't deserve it either. I think with someone like Shea, I think a lot of us were expecting this. Like, a lot of us were expecting Shea to kind of, taking another step because when you pull up his stats, it wasn't like he was, you know, bad last season. Like, he's kind of been a pretty dominant scorer.
Mhm.
I guess. I mean, yeah, last season he averaged 24 points, and yeah, I mean, this season he's averaging 31.
Yeah,
It's Shea's definitely crazy.
but I
I,
mean,
I, if I had to pick, I'd probably pick Laurie to win the award. I just think his season was a little bit more out of nowhere and more fitting of the most improved title.
yeah, I agree. Especially, I mean, he's also on a brand new team this year. Got traded to the Jazz in the offseason. I mean, looking at his stats last year for Cleveland, 14.8 points per game, 5.7 rebounds, and 1.3 assists. This year he's averaging 25.7, so
Yeah.
an 11-point increase, 8.6 rebounds, and 1.9 assists. So his numbers have just gotten better significantly this year. And
Yeah,
I don't
something
really
in
think,
was really working out for him.
yeah, don't know. But Utah, they're another team on the outside looking in of the playoffs. So I can see this swing in Shai's favor if he does go off and helps OKC either automatically make the playoffs or even get into that play-in.
Yeah, that would definitely, I think, boost his chances. Somehow get that Thunder team into the playoffs with still no Chet.
Yeah. I was seeing something that Chet might be listed as core day to day now, or he might be
Oh,
possible of
really?
coming back if OKC does make the playoffs. Which I don't know if you would necessarily bring him. If I would necessarily bring him back,
Yeah, because I mean, if you're the
rookie
Thunder, you're
year.
not expecting to make a serious run
Yeah,
this year.
no need to risk it.
Yeah, no need to bring him back, especially you bring a rookie back and here, yeah, this is a playoff game.
Mm.
Go in and play your first NBA game in one of the more high tense situations.
Yeah, it's
And
gonna
then,
be
and
gonna
then
be
I think the other award we haven't done
that's a,
Depoy, Defensive Player of the
yeah.
Year.
We have defensive and then sixth man of the year still. So
Okay, yeah. Defensive Player of the Year, I think you were saying
it was like
Brooke
looking like
Lopez,
yeah, and
surprisingly enough, is the favorite.
then Jaren Jackson Jr. right on his tails. I didn't even know Brooke Lopez was having that good of a year, honestly.
No,
Uh,
is he just like the greatest rim protector in the NBA this season?
wouldn't be
Like,
surprised.
let's see. I'm pulling up his stats real quick. Blocks.
He's
I mean,
averaging
he's averaging 2.5 blocks
honestly
and half a
nothing.
steal.
It's honestly nothing really special, but
I mean, 2.5 blocks is,
oh,
good. And
yeah, he oh damn,
Brook
he had
Lopez actually having hell of a season.
he had a 7 game or 7 block game last week against the Jazz, and then he had 9 blocks early in March against the Nets. So he's having some defensive presence to say the least.
Yeah, it definitely seems like he's kind of playing the rim protector type role. And I just kind of don't usually value that kind of defense as much. I
Yeah,
mean,
that's
I think
fair.
there's obviously a value to being a, big man rim protector like a Rudy Gobert, but at the end of the day, I'm going to value someone who can kind of go out, someone like Jaren Jackson, who I feel like can more effectively kind of guard 1 through 5. Like if Brook Lopez gets matched up, I feel like on the perimeter with, someone like Jason
Anyone,
Tatum or just
he's
a,
not going to
a
be able to
big
guard him.
guard. I don't know how good he's going to be at staying in front of him, especially at his age.
Yeah, and I mean,
Whereas Jaren
even
Jackson has kind of shown that he's a bit more versatile. Same with Bam, who I think was also kind of a little farther down in that
yeah,
conversation.
I was going to say with Jaren Jackson Jr. Looking at his stats, he's averaging more blocks than
Yeah.
Brooke Lopez. He's averaging 3.1. He's
And
also
a
averaging
steal.
1.1 steals a game, so more than Brooke Lopez.
So I don't really know what they're
Yeah, I'm
smoking
not.
down in Vegas. I don't know
Yeah,
how they're
that's
giving it to Brooke Lopez, but
Vegas knows. Vegas always knows something.
yeah, what it is in this case, I don't know, but maybe I mean, Jaren Jackson's only played 58 games.
It
How
could be
much
that. It could be he's
how
missed
much is
out because
Brooke
Brooke
Lopez?
Lopez has played all 73 so far.
So yeah, I mean, maybe they're looking at just maybe total stats, I guess, or
The
just they're
consistency, yeah,
valuing that.
I
But even
guess.
then, like I would probably value a guy like Bam defensively over a guy
Brooke
like Brooke
Lopez,
Lopez,
yeah,
because I feel like a guy like Bam can go out and kind of lock, guard, gives you a lot more positional versatility
yeah.
in terms of who he can defend.
And I guess there's one more real award. So I assume you'll go Jaren Jackson Jr. to win that one.
Yeah, I'll go
Yeah,
Jaren.
I'm with you on that. Sixth man of the year. Betting wise, it's Emmanuel Quickly as the favorite, followed by Malcolm Brogdon. Those seem like the two front runners. I don't know much about Quickly. He's on the Knicks still, I believe.
Yeah, he has been balling as of recently. The guy I'm going against in my fantasy basketball championship has him, and he just put up like 80 fantasy points.
Yeah.
See, his total stats, he's averaging 14 points,
14,
4 rebounds,
4,
and
and
3
3,
assists.
which is a slight improvement from his season last year.
Yeah, 11 points.
But it's also, he's played 75 games this year. It's the same sort of thing that I always like players winning awards when they play majority of the games in a season.
Yeah, and I don't know what
Whereas Brogdon's only played 63 games because I believe he was hurt for the beginning part of the season on the Celtics.
Yeah, I vaguely do remember him being hurt. And then I think they said like the other three guys that are in contention are guys who are just always going to be there. I think it was like Jordan Poole, Tyler Hero, and Jordan Clarkson.
I find it funny looking at the betting site. It's saying there's only 6 guys you can bet on. One of them is Austin Reeves, and one of them is Russell Westbrook.
Westbrook.
Russell
Who are
Westbrook.
who are the other 4?
So it's Emmanuel Quickly, Malcolm Brogdon, then Bobby Portis, Malik Monk, Austin Reeves, and Russell Westbrook in that order.
Okay, wow. Malik Monk, I feel like, is an interesting one too.
Yeah,
He has been playing out of his mind.
like, yeah.
This year's averaging 13, 2, and 3. So nothing
too crazy.
I just remember I've seen a few games. I've watched a few Kings games, and it seems like every time I've watched,
Just goes off the bench.
He just absolutely goes off.
Yeah, that's. I mean, I'm looking at Bobby Portis. Also, he's almost averaging a triple double off the bench, or a double double off the bench.
So. Yeah, that is pretty impressive. Bobby Portis. He's still on that. He's still on that Bucks team,
still
right?
On that Bucks team, yeah.
But he's definitely one of the more, I think, underappreciated, undervalued players on that team.
Yeah, well, that's kind of the only other one is Coach of the Year, but that one looks pretty much wrapped up in terms of from a betting standpoint. Vegas has, where is it? Oh, who is it? Mike Brown is the favorite to win that, who is the coach of the Sacramento Kings. That makes sense to me.
Yeah.
That makes so much sense. Getting his team to the playoffs for the first time in damn near 16 years. So relatively straightforward there.
Yeah, that seems like the easiest one to pick, really.
And then, well, that's kind of the NBA coverage for us. We'll stay in basketball and do kind of our quick, because the Final Four is this weekend.
Yep.
So I want to say Saturday, it's the 2 semifinals, and then Monday night, the college basketball season will come to an end.
I know, so sad.
We have FAU and San Diego State. Oh yeah, and this is before I get into the teams. This is the Final Four everyone predicted, right?
Yeah,
this is the obvious one.
I was going to say something. If you're walking around saying you predicted this Final Four, you're full of shit. Like
absolutely.
It's why you love college basketball.
It really is.
I had one of my brackets. One of my brackets had SDSU in the Final Four, but not anywhere close to any of these other teams.
See, I had UConn. I had a feeling UConn was going to be a solid team, and just the way their bracket was.
Yeah, I think in another, because I think I made like 4 or 5 brackets. Yeah. I think I might have had UConn in 1 or 2, but I had SDSU in 1. I'm surprised that hit.
Yeah, those are the 2 matchups. FAU versus SDSU. Who do you have winning that one?
I don't know, man. I think SDSU's hot right now. They kind of had an easy path those first 2 games. They beat Charleston, but, it was their first round matchup. So, that's just kind of how it goes. But then they catch a huge break with Furman beating Virginia.
That's true.
So then they easily beat Furman. And I thought for sure with SDSU, I thought the buck was going to stop at Bama. They're a Mountain West team, and, SDSU's played great, but, nobody really liked the likes of Bama. And so I thought Bama was just going to kind of come out there and enforce their will. Mm-hmm. And it just didn't happen. I mean, Brandon Miller played horrible.
Yeah.
But on the other end, SDSU won that game, and their best player, Matt Bradley, he didn't score until like 6-7 minutes left in the game. So it was like both players' best teams just weren't effective and weren't scoring. And SDSU just kind of came out and frankly took control of that game. And once it got to like 11 minutes left in the second half, they just kind of took control.
Yeah, only won by 7, but it felt like it was a lot more one-sided than it was.
Yeah.
Then I will say they did get a little lucky with that chaotic ending against Creighton in the Elite Eight, but I think that was the right call, I want to say, but it just seemed like it was a little late. And then, that was a fun game. It's just, to me, it's this defense for them, because like looking at points. They've given up 57 to Charleston, 52 to Furman, 64 to an Alabama team that averages damn near 80, and then 56 to Creighton. So they are lockdown defense, and that's in college. That's so much more important than having a high scoring offense.
Yeah, it's underappreciated art in just basketball in general now. You can just play. That's why I thought Iowa State was going to make a more serious run this year, because they were another one of those teams that their scoring wasn't great, but they weren't going to let you score.
Absolutely. I mean, that's something that
SDSU.
SDSU in that. Yeah, I think that's where I'm probably going to end up leaning, but got to give a shout out to FAU. A 9 seed making this. Sure, they got a little lucky with Fairleigh Dickinson beating Purdue. So once they squeezed by Memphis by a point, then beat Fairleigh Dickinson, then upsets, beat Tennessee, who was the 4 seed, and then beat a good Kansas State team that a lot of people thought could make it to that Final Four, if not the final.
Yeah, Kansas State was another one of those teams that was just red hot. Looked like they weren't going to be stopped, and then FAU just came to town and kind of put an end to that.
I mean, for me, they don't lose. They're 35-3, I want to say, on the season. Only one team previously has ever won 35 games in the season, I want to say, and that was Virginia a few years ago when they won the whole thing. So it's an impressive team that knows how to win games, knows how to win games in different ways.
Yeah, they got some experience because, you get to these smaller schools like, FAU and stuff like that. They're usually more along the echelon of having guys that are going to be there for 4 years.
Yeah.
Not as many one and dones, or, guys who only stay for 2 years and transfer or go to the draft. So, they'll have, because once you get to March, I feel like experience, especially at the guard position, is one of the most important things to have. Just experienced guys who have been there before. They can kind of prevent the moment from getting too big and letting the game swing out of control, one way or the other.
I want to put this out there. The Conference USA, which FAU plays in, has been balling out in the NIT as well. I don't know if you follow the NIT at all, but they're into the final, and it's a conference matchup. North Texas against UAB in that final, both teams from Conference USA. I want to say someone from Conference USA won the CBI Invitational. But then, FDU is still involved. Yeah, I think it was Charlotte, I want to say, won the CBI. So,
hey, man, good for Conference USA.
Yeah, they're stepping up real bit well.
Yeah, they want more teams in.
Yeah. Get FAU. I don't wonder if any conferences ever swept all 3 men's tournaments. I would doubt it.
That would be a little, fun fact to do a deep dive on and figure out, because I don't know realistically, how many even, big conference teams play in those.
Yeah, because, looking at it,
NIT and CBI.
Oregon State are the 2 Power 12 or Power 5 schools that have won the CBI at least. So, no, I highly doubt anyone has.
So, yeah, and then on the other end, we got Miami and UConn.
Which Miami's a solid team. They won the ACC regular season title. I want to say they lost to Duke in the ACC tournament.
Duke won the SEC tournament.
Yeah, because Duke went on a tear.
Yeah.
I like UConn. I really have enjoyed watching this UConn team all season. I tried to parlay them into a bet back in the beginning of January when they were plus 2,000 because I had a feeling. It's just, to me, it felt like one of those random years that a team like UConn would just find some magic, get hot at the right time, and sure enough, that's kind of what they've done so far.
Yeah, just when I watch UConn play, it's just good basketball to watch. I almost feel like it's like those prime Spurs days, those Popovich Spurs days, where it's just like everyone is always in the right spot. Everyone always makes the right pass. They always make the extra pass when they need to. They just play really fundamentally sound basketball. Guys hit their shots, know where they need to be, and it's really just it's basketball I enjoy watching. So I love watching college basketball so much.
Absolutely. And I mean, they're
NBA.
averaging what 81.5 points per game, pretty much 81.75 points per game in this March Madness. They're beating the hell out of teams, and we saw
Yeah,
that
I mean,
against Gonzaga.
I couldn't believe that Gonzaga. I
I
mean,
thought I thought they would beat them, but not by 29 or 28.
yeah, I said because I did the Daily Show with Anthony last week, and we were talking about. I think we were predicting the Sweet 16, and I mentioned that I'm just not really that big of a believer in Gonzaga. You know, they're a team that can always make, to their credit, they can always at least make a run. Like they don't usually get upset early on, but
Yeah.
for whatever reason, once they get to that like Elite Eight range, they're cursed. And yeah, I mean, especially after that win they had, that crazy win on that shot, which I still can't believe that guy made again in that Gonzaga UCLA game.
Oh yeah, that was
Like I still can't
a
believe that's
crazy
the
game.
shot you take in that moment, but I guess it worked.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was not expecting that. Like I was like, oh my god.
Yeah, absolutely. And that kind of so I guess who's your prediction for that one? You got Miami or UConn?
I'll take UConn.
UConn. So you have what? UConn, San Diego State. I think both of us do. I'd love to see FAU make it, but who wins it? Who do you have winning the whole thing?
At this point, I think I got to go with UConn. It just kind of seemed like overall, top to bottom, the best team. They seem to have some experience as well.
Yeah.
They just kind of play a brand of basketball I like, and I think it has translated well through this tournament and will continue to do so.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I think UConn's the best team in this tournament still, and I'm gonna ride with them and say I'm taking UConn over San Diego State in the final. Which who would have thought we'd be saying UConn versus San Diego State in the final at the beginning of the month? But here we are. That's why March Madness, as you said, is great.
Yep, that's why we love it.
But while some basketball stuff is coming to an end, tomorrow, opening day for the MLB season.
Yes, sir.
Let's go. Baseball is back. It's going to be fun, except for the Rockies fans because we're used to disappointment. But Phillies coming off the World Series appearance last year. What as your team? What do you think how do you think they're going to do this season?
I mean, I have high hopes. I feel like I kind of have to have high hopes. I mean, as a team, that just made the World Series last year, shockingly so, admittedly, but a team that made a deep playoff run, and got, at least in my eyes, substantially better. I mean, bringing in the best, or at least one of the best shortstops in the game, in Trey Turner, who seems to be just on a tear already.
Oh yeah,
that World Baseball Classic performance he had.
Yeah. I mean, what was it? His first spring training game back, he was still hitting home runs.
Yeah, he hit a home run like his first spring training game back. So, the loss of Reese Hoskins. God, when Andrew posted that, because I was at work when it happened, and I saw him post that. I saw the video, and I was like, oh, he definitely just destroyed his knee.
He didn't play in the WBC, did he?
Hoskins?
Yeah.
No, he was not.
I didn't think so, because I know there was a lot of that discussion of, they need to not do the World Baseball Classic because people are going to get hurt, like we saw Edwin Diaz. I think that's really dumb because, I mean, it's players who are still getting hurt just doing spring training.
Yeah, the players have come out and say how much they love the World Baseball Classic.
Oh,
you've got some guys who said they'd rather win that than a World Series. Like they'd rather win it for their country than win a World Series.
I'll say I know, like, back from soccer is the sport I follow the closest, and even a long time ago from all the research I've done, soccer was never a huge sport until they had the World Cup consistently being televised every 4 years, and it really brings people in. Baseball is now kind of
easily makes soccer the watch sport.
Yeah, and baseball has been touted as a kind of a dying sport for our generation and the younger generations because they don't have the patience for it, and that's why I don't hate it's a boring game. But the World Baseball Classic, first of all, they're all wrong, but World Baseball Classic showed that excitement and showed that energy that the teams and players have. The crowds were great. It's just fun seeing players represent their home countries. Something like the NHL, they need to let their players go to the Olympics, in my opinion. Sure, it's in the middle of the season, so it makes it a little harder, but still, who wouldn't love seeing the best Canadian players in the world go against the best Americans, against the best European teams? It's
Let's
just
just
fun
create
watching the
another
best and the
miracle on
best.
ice.
Yeah.
Send all our best college players.
Because I mean, right now it really is that. U.S. and Canada send their college stars, maybe some minor leaguers, and then you have like the Russians and the Swedes who have their professional leagues and
Yeah.
just send all their players from there. We want to see Ovi against McDavid against Jack Eichel and Austin Matthews on the U.S. It's just we want to see the best against the best there, but that's what the World Baseball Classic did in my opinion. It showed all that.
Yeah, I loved it. I enjoyed watching it. I mean, obviously injuries suck, but I mean,
they happen.
Part of the game.
Yeah. What opening day, like, do you have any bold predictions for opening weekend for the MLB season?
Bold predictions for the MLB season. Man, it's a top. I mean, I think I had my preseason prediction. I have Julio Rodriguez winning MVP in the AL. I don't know how hot of a take that is or anything, but yeah, I think because I did an article on preseason award predictions, and I think I had him as my AL MVP.
Yeah, that's a good prediction. I like that. I mean, I like that Mariners team. I think they could possibly win the division. It'd be a lot because Houston's still that dog in there, but they lost Verlander. Jose Altuve's out, injured at the moment.
Yeah,
I feel like
another
they're just kind of
classic injury.
Getting older, but I don't know. There's a lot of exciting teams. I know the Rockies sure as hell ain't one of them. It's going to be another sad season for the Colorado baseball fans. Nothing's going to change, in my opinion, until the owners sell, but different story, different day. I'm just hoping to see some of these young prospects come up and start making moves. But
yeah, it's always the only potential upside when you're just a fan of a really bad team. It's getting to watch the prospects.
Yeah, I mean, love going to Coors Field. It's a fun ballpark to say the least. But
I can't say I've ever been.
I'd say it's nice, but little bit of bias, but also it's just you can see the mountains from it, and it's just nice out there.
Yeah, I've only ever been to Petco Park, so.
Oh, okay. Yeah, and that's where the Rocky season starts, Petco Park.
So what?
That's where the Rocky season starts this year, Petco Park against the Padres.
You guys got the Padres.
Yeah, but I guess we'll kind of what else opening day do you want to discuss, or World Series predictions? Do you have any right now?
Yeah, I think me and Anthony.
No, it's hard to discuss, hard to come up with them when it's a 162 game season.
Yeah, just on the spot, it's. I'll go Braves, Blue Jays.
Braves and Blue Jays. I like that.
Yeah, I think Blue Jays a little bit older now, get a little bit more experience.
Yeah.
The potential that offense has is nuclear, so I think this is the year they can put it together, not blow a 7-run lead.
Yeah, that would be unideal if they did that again. I like that. I like the Braves pick. I was a little on board with the Mets because I think they can do well, but I don't know how big losing Edwin Diaz is going to be for them. I don't know who their new closer is.
Yeah,
but that's a big-ish loss for them. But I'll go with the Braves. I'll tail on that. But in the AL, it's hard to go past Houston, the Yankees. The Blue Jays are obviously right there. But I'm gonna go with a bolder take. I'm gonna go Seattle. I think.
Okay.
I'll go really bold on that one. Give me Seattle and the Braves. Why not? It'd be fun to see Julio. If Julio's having the MVP season you're predicting, I could see him doing some damage in the playoffs. And up until the World Series, they were the only team that gave the Astros any kind of trouble. They didn't beat them, but they were the only ones who were close and really should have.
Yeah, I think the Astros hadn't lost until we beat them in the World Series. They were undefeated.
I know Game 1 was a walk-off home run for the Astros after they were down 4 or 5 runs late.
Was one of those Astros Mariners games one of those 19 innings?
Yeah, I was gonna say it was an 18-inning game where it was
2-1.
Yeah, 2-1 final, and nothing. No one could hit the ball there.
Yeah, I
And my
remember.
roommates, one of my roommates is from Seattle, and he went back for that game. Said it just kept going on and on and on. It was like a 7-hour game, which
You're just like, man, come on, I want to go home, but I can't.
yeah, we want to just celebrate our team winning, and sure enough, at the end of the day, it just did not happen.
Yeah, it's got to be crappy.
Yeah, I'll go Seattle and the Braves. Who do you have winning of yours? Do you have Blue Jays or the Braves lifting the World Series trophy?
I don't want to pick the Braves, so I'll go with the Blue Jays.
Yeah, I'll go. Well, I guess I'll go the other way. I'll take the Braves, not for any reason, more just I think that if those two met, I think they'd be able to pull it off a little bit better. But Jack, you got any other MLB stuff you want to talk about? I know you got class shortly, so I'll let you.
Yeah, I'm getting our class here soon. I mean, no, I think that's for the most part, unless you have like other award predictions you wanted to go over.
I mean, I haven't really done much research. If you want to go through your Cy Youngs, MVPs, feel free. But
I mean, yeah, so I had Julio Rodriguez winning the AL MVP, and then NL, I'm expecting a huge Ronald Acuna bounce back season. That's why I took him second in fantasy. I'm expecting a big Ronald Acuna resurgence. And my AL Cy Young was Shane McClanahan, another player I have on my fantasy team. And then my NL, I had to have one homer pick, so I went with Zach Wheeler.
Okay.
But I also feel like he could easily be in contention as long as he stays healthy.
Yeah.
Then my rookies of the year, AL, I went Gunnar Henderson. And then NL, I went Cody Senga.
Who did those rookies play for?
Senga is the Mets. He's one of the
he's one of their
Japanese guys.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Was he the guy that they just brought over this offseason?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The pitcher. And then Gunnar Henderson is the Orioles. No, he's Diamondbacks.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
More you know.
And then, yeah, but the managers of the year, I mean, I don't really know how to pick.
That's kind of just depends on who's going to have the best record or what dumpster fire team last year turns it around.
Yeah, I think I picked Brandon Hyde for the AL, the Orioles.
Okay.
And then I went Skip Schumacher, the Marlins manager.
Oh, one other thing. I like those but also I love the Marlins new jerseys that they've released, going back to their old Florida Marlins unis, at least for some like Fridays, I think.
Those were some nice jerseys.
But that's kind of wraps it up for us. Thank you guys for watching as always. Reach out to us on Twitter. Jack, your Twitter's @JackSabin11.
Yep.
Reach out to me on Twitter @JerryF007. Check out all of our other colleagues' work on Vendetta Sports Media's website, on our YouTube page, Twitter. Kind of got a little bit of everything covering for you. Hockey's going on right now, down to the end of the wire there. NBA to the end of the wire. NFL draft coming up later this upcoming month. And yeah, we got
sports
movies.
Content is endless.
Yeah, there's always something going on in the world of sports. So thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you next time.